That was the moment I realized that what people needed most was not more information. They needed some interpretation. They needed help decoding these signals that their body was sending. Hello and welcome. Before we begin, I want to invite you to slow down with me for just a moment. You don't need to do anything special. Just notice where you are. Notice your breath. Notice your body as it is right now. If you're listening to this while driving or walking or folding laundry, that's perfect. This podcast is meant to meet you inside your real life. If you've been listening to this show for a while, you may know it as Fusionary Health, the Fusionary Health podcast. And if that's you, I want to start by saying thank you. Truly. Over the years, this space has held so many meaningful conversations. I've had the privilege of speaking with doctors, researchers, healers, and teachers from many different backgrounds. Each conversation added a new layer of understanding, not just for me, but for you, for this community. And if you're new here, I want you to know that those episodes are still here for you. They are part of the foundation of this podcast and of our learning and growing together. I gently encourage you to go back and explore them when it feels right for you. Fusionary Health was about exploration. It was about curiosity. It was about asking better questions. What you're listening to now is the next chapter. Welcome to the Inflammation Code. As those interviews accumulated, something began to stand out to me. Different guests, different specialties, different languages, but the same pattern kept appearing. Inflammation. Not just as a lab marker, not just as a condition, but as a response. A response to everything in our environment and a response to everything that's affecting and impacting our health. I began to notice that whether we were talking about hormones, digestion, pain, brain health, autoimmune patterns, or fatigue, inflammation was almost always part of the story. And yet it was rarely explained in a way that actually helped people understand what their body was doing. That was the moment I realized that what people needed most was not more information. They needed some interpretation. They needed help decoding these signals that their body was sending. That is where the name, the inflammation code, came from. When I say code, I don't mean something complicated or technical. I mean a language. Your body speaks in sensations. It's always giving us information. Our body speaks in rhythm, in symptoms, in patterns. Inflammation is one of the ways your body communicates that something is out of balance, that something needs our attention, that a system is under strain. So many people have been taught to see inflammation as the enemy, something to fight, something to eliminate as quickly as possible. But inflammation is often the messenger. And when we silence the messenger without listening, the body does not just disappear. That message doesn't just disappear. It actually just finds another way to show up. And I've seen this pattern play out in my own family for more than 4 decades now. Again and again. Pain would show up, a medication would quiet it, life would move on. Until it didn't. Joint pain became joint pain surgeries. Digestive issues became lifelong sensitivities and problems. Anxiety turned into sleep medications. Inflammation was always present, but it was treated like something to stamp out, not something to understand or pay attention to. No one ever paused long enough to ask, why is this fire alarm going off in the first place? What is this? And the alarm wasn't the problem. The alarm was doing exactly what it was designed to do. Those symptoms are an alarm, and they are telling us information. But when we keep replacing the battery in that alarm, instead of just checking the wiring, the underlying issue, the fire doesn't stop. It just finds another room to burn in, another organ to go damage. And so I want to say this clearly because it's foundational. Your body is not broken. It is not betraying you. It's not failing you. It is adapting. Inflammation is often the result of the body trying to protect itself in an environment that is asking too much. Too much stress, too little rest, too many inputs, not enough recovery. When we begin to see inflammation as communication instead of malfunction, something shifts. And the question changes from what is wrong with me to what is my body responding to right now? That question opens up the door to healing. I had a woman come into my practice. We'll call her Marianne. She was exhausted. She had digestive issues. She had joint pain, stubborn weight gain, brain fog, and anxiety that seemed to come out of nowhere. She had seen multiple doctors. Her labs were normal. She'd been told she was stressed, hormonal, or that this was just aging. What struck me most wasn't the number of symptoms. It was just the look on her face when she said, "I feel like my body's working against me." Instead of starting with a protocol, I asked her something different. What if your body isn't malfunctioning? What if it's responding? What if it's responding intelligently to too much for too long? That reframing alone softened her system. Her sleep improved first, then her digestion, then her pain. But the most important shift wasn't physical. She stopped fighting her body, and her body finally felt safe enough to heal. One of the most frustrating experiences I hear about is feeling like your symptoms are treated as separate problems. I have this, went to this doctor, got that medicine. I have this, went to that doctor, got that medicine. I have this, went to that doctor, got that medicine. And then a box of medications later, side effects. Here's the thing. Fatigue is handled in one appointment. Like I said, digestive issues in another, joint pain in another, mood changes in another. But the body doesn't work that way. Inflammation is often the thread that connects these experiences. Like I always say, every itis is just inflammation. If you're running from doctor to doctor told you have something itis, that's a sign. That inflammation moves through our systems. It affects how our cells communicate with each other. It changes how the nervous system responds to stress. And this is why symptom chasing rarely works long term. You might quiet one symptom, only to have another appear later. Not because you did something wrong, but because the underlying pattern was never addressed. Understanding inflammation helps us see the whole picture, the entire picture of what the body is doing and what's going on here. Ayurveda has always understood the body through patterns and through relationships. It asks how digestion, stress, environment, our routine, and our emotional life interact. It looks at imbalance as a system-wide experience, like the whole system is under attack or the whole system is out of balance, not an isolated event. And what's powerful right now is that modern science is beginning to confirm what these ancient systems have always known. We are learning how inflammation impacts our hormones, our brain function, immune response, metabolism, and gut health. We're learning how chronic stress creates inflammatory responses in the body. And we're learning how daily habits influence our long-term outcomes. That's a big one. This podcast is not about choosing one approach over another. It's about integration. Healing becomes clearer when wisdom and evidence are allowed to work together. Earlier in my career, I focused heavily on fixing, protocols, supplements, precision. And for some people, it worked briefly. They'd feel better, then plateau, then relapse. That's when I realized something important. The missing piece wasn't effort or compliance. It was context. The body doesn't heal because it's impressed by our intensity of what we're doing. It heals when it feels safe. One of the most important things I want you to understand is that healing is not an event. It's a process. And more specifically, it's a rhythm. The body responds to what it can rely on. Consistency creates safety. Safety allows systems to soften. This is why extreme protocols often fail. They ask the body to change too quickly. They create more stress in the name of healing. Instead, this work is about small, steady rituals that support balance over time. Not perfection, not intensity, just presence and consistency. This podcast is here to help you make sense of what your body is doing. We will talk about inflammation as a root cause, and we will explore digestion, stress, hormones, and daily rhythms, but always through the lens of understanding, not overwhelm. Some episodes will be just you and me, breaking down concepts in a calm and practical way. And some episodes will be with these conversations with guests who bring insight from science, tradition, and their lived experiences. Always, the intention is the same. It's to help you feel less confused, less at war with your body, and more informed, more supported. Imagine waking up without dread in your body, clearer thinking, more stable energy, a sense that your body is working with you instead of against you. This podcast is for you if you've ever felt like something was off, even when you were told everything looked fine. It is for women who are thoughtful and curious, but tired of guessing. It's for anyone who wants long-term balance, not short-term suppression. Your body has been communicating with you this whole time. You are not late. You are not failing. You are learning a new language. This is the inflammation code. And I'm so glad you're here. Throughout the year, we'll be uncovering everything in the book. I highly recommend that you purchase the book, The Inflammation Code, and begin applying its principles immediately. This book has so much guidance and wisdom for you. And my goal here on this podcast is to share so much of that wisdom and to bring the wisdom of so many incredible guests for you as well. So stay tuned for an incredible year ahead on the Inflammation Code podcast. I can't wait for us to learn, grow, evolve, and build vibrant health together. See you in the next episode.